Hello, Miss Austen. I'm so glad that you've taken the time to do this interview. My class is studying famous authors from the 19th and 20th centuries. We recently watched the film adaptation of your novel Pride and Prejudice. We are so excited to hear more about you and your work.
It's no problem at all. I'm honored to be able to use technology like this to do the interview with you.
Awesome. Shall we get started then? Tell us about your early life. When were you born?
I was born on December 16th in 1775. I was the seventh child of George and Cassandra Austen. I had five brothers: James, George, Charles, Francis, Henry, and Edward, and one beloved sister, Cassandra. When I was about seven, my sister and I went to Mrs. Crowley's boarding school in Oxford. But when the school moved, we had to return home and then went to the Abbey School of Reading. And we completed our formal education there.
So, about when did you start writing, Miss Austen?
Probably when I was about 11 or 12. I started first with writing short stories and poems that are known as juveniles. That's pretty much where it all began, in those notebooks full of my scribbles.
Sounds like a pretty eventful childhood. You never married, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Was there ever anyone special in your life?
When I was about 20, a certain Tom LaFroy came to visit his aunt and uncle. We spent quite a bit of time together, but we were both penniless, so marriage was not an option. His family took him away, and I never saw him again. I did have one other proposal of marriage from Harris Wither. He was to earn a large estate, but we were no match. I made the mistake of saying yes at first, but the next day I had to tell him no. I just could not marry him.
I see. All right, so tell us about your works. When were you first published?
Well, my brother Charles submitted my novel Susan, now known as North Anger Abbey, to Crosby and Company, who bought it for £10, but it never ended up being published. Right around this time, my father suddenly died, so my writing was on a pause for a little while. When my brother Frank purchased Taunton House for my mother, sister, and I to live, I really began to tackle Sense and Sensibility. It was soon published by Thomas Egerton and then followed by Pride and Prejudice.
It seems many artists don't become a success until much later in life. When were you successful?
Well, not to brag, but the first edition of Sense and Sensibility sold out, and so its second edition had to be made. Also, my novel Mansfield Park, all copies editions, were sold, making it my most successful novel. At that point, I began getting ill, and I was no longer able to write. My final project, The Brothers, would never be complete.
And why is that?
When I was 21, I died on July 18th, 1817, in Winchester Abbey. After my death, Richard Benty purchased the copyright, and they've been in print ever since.
You truly have been a great success. So, in your lifetime, how many books did you end up publishing?
There are six main novels: Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, and Love, Persuasion, and North Danger Abbey.
Each are amazing books and movies, I must say. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you again, Miss Austen. It has been an absolute pleasure.